Madonna's Californian castle, high on the hill, looks towards Los Angeles. It was built by the gangster Bugsy Siegel. During Prohibition, Bugsy used it as a speakeasy. Now, Madonna loves its seedy past, as she loves the paintings of old Mexican communists like Diego Rivera. Now, sitting in the lounge room next to her, you've got to remind yourself that Madonna is almost 37. She's in good shape, maybe a bit too much makeup. A vegetarian, no drugs, an exercise freak. She's reported to be worth over $150 million. Whether you like her or not, Madonna is an icon, alongside Elvis and Marilyn Monroe.
Madonna, thank you for inviting us to your home. It's very kind of you.
You're welcome.
No, you've not had cameras here before, television cameras?
No, it's a virgin house.
A virgin house, is it?
Yes.
So this is the house I keep reading about, the one that you painted and upset the neighbours?
Yeah. Yes, I upset the neighbors by painting my house something besides white. Apparently white is the color your house is supposed to be in California, I guess. Yeah. It's actually taken from a style of painting that they have in Italy. A lot of the houses in an area in southern Italy called Siena, they have villas everywhere and they're all painted striped like that. So my brother went to Siena, he saw it, that's where he got the idea to do it.
But not Hollywood, eh?
No. I just brought a touch of Italy to California.
Is this, again, part of being Madonna, the fact that anything you do, someone's going to get upset?
Yeah, I guess so, because I don't usually do very conventional things, so... On the one hand, people expect me to not do conventional things, or to do unconventional things. On the other hand, every time I do something, everyone sort of gets their feathers ruffled, so...
I take it you didn't do it to try and...
No, please. Yeah, I wanted people picketing my gate, my front gate.
Now, again, being Madonna, someone this morning tried to... Or someone was around here, does that go with the...
The territory of being famous?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most celebrities have to deal with people getting obsessed with them and hanging out in front of their house.
Does that trouble you, living in a place like Los Angeles?
Well, it happens to me everywhere, even places I don't live, so... I mean, people that are really into you follow you wherever you go, when you're on tour, when you're traveling around and stuff. I see the same people everywhere. Not psychos or anything like that, I mean, just fans, like kind of obsessive fans. They sort of go everywhere you go. Like you're like in one part of the world, you go somewhere else, you're like, oh my God, this person is standing in the front row of the concert. You know, you're in South America, then you go to France and they're there too. Then you go to Israel, they're there too. Then you go to Australia and they're there too. It's like, God, don't they have to work? But it just comes with the territory. I don't really think about it. If I think about it too much, I think, you know, it would bother me.
What's the best thing about being Madonna? We talked about the bad things. What's the best thing?
The best thing?
Yeah.
Like, what do I like best about myself? My resilience, my survival instincts. I think that's one of my strong points.
But how about being Madonna?
I don't think there is a best thing about it, because once you achieve a certain amount of fame, you're suddenly like public domain, and everything that's said about you and believed about you is nowhere near the truth. It's like a monster that goes on by itself, and you have nothing to say, and so much is public perception that builds and builds and snowballs into something that ends up being completely what you're not, and I couldn't think that there's anything good about that, because I'm forever meeting people and they're always saying to me, God, you're not anything like I thought you'd be, you know, and I think that has a lot to do, that's part of being famous. I don't think that's good at all.
Being so popular, I mean, anyone who can sell 100 million albums has to have a success formula, don't you? But
a formula?
Well, have to be successful. Yeah, no formula. But that's difficult for people to know, isn't it? You tend to think, especially in our societies, that if you're popular, you then become a target for critics, don't you?
Yeah.
As though being popular was easy.
Yeah, I think what people fail to realize is how much guts it takes to do what we do, what any artist does. I mean, I don't think, people just see the finished product all this time. They hear the record, they see the movie, whatever, but they're not there on the day-to-day, you know, living experience. They don't understand what you go through. Nobody does. And you know what? They don't need to. But I think when people sit around and rip people to shreds when they see their art or whatever, I think it would do them all a bit of good, and I'm not just speaking about myself, if they could just try and sit down and realize how much work goes into anything and how much guts it takes to put yourself on the line and say, here's my work, here's my heart and soul.
Was that the dream when you were the little girl back in Michigan? Was that the dream to be an international superstar?
No.
What was the dream?
I wanted to be a dancer when I was a little girl. That was my dream. And
or
I
a nun?
did go. Well, that only lasted a few years. but I wanted to be a dancer, and I came to New York, and I did become a professional dancer, and then one thing led to the next, and then soon I was in the music business. And
always the exhibitionist or an extrovert?
I think that I was what is very common in big families. Like, you know, if you want to get noticed, you have to yell loud. If you want to, you know, I think I have 8 brothers and sisters, and I think that, you know, that was like a survival skill I had to learn growing up with a big family, you know.
But on
look
stage.
at me, look at me. And I just think I perfected that, you know, as a performer, you know, and grew into that.
Again, I sort of chucked the quotes at you that I've read that may not be yours, but one in which you said that you have this terrible fear of being mediocre, that drives you.
I think maybe in the beginning I had that, but I'm not afraid of that anymore.
Right, a great feeling, it's a great feeling to be powerful, and now you're clearly powerful, given you.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Did you go after power?
No. In the beginning,
Hedonistic, or did you go after satisfaction and the job that you do and the art that you want to create? Were you hedonistic?
When you're standing on stage and you see a smile come to someone's face, that gives you pleasure. I think when someone comes up to you and says, God, I heard your record and I just love this song, or I was feeling so down and this song really cheered me up, or whatever, I mean, that gives me pleasure. So, and it's also a powerful feeling because you know you've affected someone. So, yes, I wanted to affect people that way. I wanted to make people feel good about things, and so I don't know if you want to call that going after something for pleasure or going after something for power, but...
How talented are you? Tough question.
I think I couldn't answer that question. What is talent? You know, I think that I have a lot to offer, and I'm very proud of my work.
If I ask that question of a sprinter like Carl Lewis, or a beautiful woman like Elle, without any ego, she'd have to say, look, I'm beautiful, or Carl Lewis would have to say, I'm fast. Now, you don't need to prove any more, but clearly because you're successful.
Well, I have to be very careful about what I say, because everything I say is held against me.
Is that right?
Yes.
I've read, you know, it seems the millions of articles that have been done about you, and the file on Madonna is this thick, it seems, and clippings and books and movies and videos and so on. Mm-hmm. And I keep seeing you saying that you never get to talk about what you do. So often they're distracted about Warren Beatty or Sean Penn or whatever. What do you do?
I write music, okay. And I sing, and I run a record label, and I produce movies, and I act in movies. I collect art.
But you see why I asked it, because in fact it is almost the distraction of...
I know.
Of those other things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the concentration on in bed with Madonna and the sexual side and all the discussions, those articles I talk about, has that distracted people away from your talents?
Yeah, I think people have gotten sidetracked by certain issues that were so controversial in our society today that people couldn't get past them. They couldn't get past my political statements or my point of views about sexuality and about being free to express yourself, and people just got so hung up on that they refused to see me as an artist.
Yeah, but you were sort of pulling those strings, weren't you? So it wasn't as though...
Well, I know, I have... No, I don't think of myself as a victim at all, don't get me wrong. But I knew that I was dealing with taboo subjects, and I knew that it was going to upset some people. I didn't think it would upset that many people, and I didn't know that it would resonate for so long.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But I think, to me, it showed me really what a hypocritical society that we live in, and how repressed most people really are about their feelings and their fantasies and their identity and who they are in the world. And I think it was very telling about the world.
Were you naive, you think, or did you set out to shock?
No, no, I don't. Maybe I was a little bit naive, I suppose. I mean, when you're an artist and you're creating in a vacuum, a lot of times you don't realize the effect that you're going to have, and which, to me, contradicts what everybody thinks of me, that I'm so calculating and that I plan things. I mean, I have ideas, and I execute them. I'm very impulsive when it comes to the creative impulse, whatever. I just do it.
But this is a very conservative society you live in, isn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't realize how so. I mean, the very fact that people were telling me when I wanted to put my sex book out, oh, you can't do that, you're going to make so many people mad, oh, you can't, oh, but you're so popular right now, and oh, the fact that people were telling me I couldn't do it made me want to do it even more, because I felt like, well, what's the difference between me doing this and an actress posing nude for Playboy or whatever? The only difference is that I'm making money off of it, and that's what pissed a lot of people off. I mean, we are surrounded by the same kind of erotic images that I put in my book all the time in film, on television, in magazines and literature and everything. But because I'm a pop icon or whatever you want to call me, which means that I'm popular, which means that my ideas can't be controversial, they have to be popular. And I sort of broke that rule,
yes.
You know.
It was often said, of course, of Elvis and Marilyn Monroe, wasn't it, that they started out quite radical and quite on the extreme of of American society.
Right.
But society sucked them back in and made them conform. Certainly
well,
Elvis.
I think they tried to make them conform. I don't think Elvis Presley was ever able to live up to what people wanted him to be. And I think neither was Marilyn Monroe, and that was their downfall, because I think that they didn't have the survival skills to sort of stick to their guns and say, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and screw what everybody thinks.
And you
know?
do?
Well, yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
Let me read from you then, I presume this, because you partly wrote this song, Inside of Me, from the new album, in which you say that, in the public eye, I act like I don't care. When there's no one watching me, I'm crying. Are you?
Sometimes.
I keep a picture of you, your mother.
Yes.
Next to my bed at night, and when I wake up scared, I know I'll find you there watching over me. Does she give you that protection?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's my mother. Why is that so hard to understand?
She's no longer here.
Yes, she is. Don't you believe in reincarnation? And do you think that when a person dies, their spirit goes away and that they're no longer there? I mean, has anyone ever really, like, close to you ever died?
Yes.
And you don't you feel their presence?
Yes, I was anxious to hear I haven't heard you talk about reincarnation before. I've certainly read that. How many photos of your mother would you have around?
I have
Plenty?
Pictures of my mother everywhere. But I have pictures of my family everywhere. And people that are close to me that have died, I feel that there is a part of them that stays with me. They never leave. So.
Love tried to welcome me, Madonna. Loneliness has never been a stranger to me.
Right?
Love tried to welcome me, but my soul drew back. These are my lips, they whisper sorrow. I don't know happiness. Instead of spring, it's always winter. Is that just a mood, or is that Madonna?
I think everyone feels loneliness sometimes. I think everyone feels sadness. I think everyone feels certain times in their life, God, you know, I had something great and I screwed it up, you know. I could have done it and I didn't have the courage, whatever. I think that my feelings aren't so unique. I think everyone feels that way.
But not everyone gets a chance to write about them and sing about them, do they?
Yes, well, that's what separates me from everyone else. I think I'm a wiser person. I think that maybe I've learned certain lessons better than I had in the past, like humility and patience. Maybe that is reflected in the music, but I see myself still as a very demanding, driven person, and
well, what brought about this humility and this patience?
Being misunderstood so profoundly for so many years.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I mean, you've referred to that, but I mean, to the point where you get bloody angry and...
No. I mean, I have gone through anger, but what I'm saying is when people misunderstand you and it's done in a global way, you can't allow yourself to, like, be angry all the time and be bitter. You just have to accept it, and you have to learn patience and know that if you stay true to who you are and you keep doing what you do, that eventually people will come around and understand what you're saying.
What do you do when you read something, an article that is completely false? Do you feel like you want to go and punch out the journalist?
Oh, I do all kinds of things. Sometimes I scream really loud. I go, oh my God, I can't believe they're writing this. Or I go, God, I wish I met him. Or, I mean, it's on, and then sometimes I just go, oh, whatever.
So you met him, these are the blokes you're supposed to have an affair with, or?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can just wish on that. What about when you read in Forbes that...
Exactly.
I
wish I was having all the fun everyone says I'm having.
And you're not having all this fun?
Well, I am, but I mean, I'm certainly not, you know, out with every Tom, Dick, and Harry that they say that I'm out with. I wouldn't get any work done.
Where did you decide that I mean, there was a time when you first started when you were plump, if I can use that word. When did you decide the body was the temple?
Well, I've always felt that way. I mean, I was taught that in my ballet classes. My dance teacher taught us to respect our bodies and to love our bodies, and that our bodies were, in fact, temples or whatever. So, I mean, that's always been ingrained in me.
All right, let me just wrap it up with just a one-word response that, I don't mean the game quite seriously, but Muhammad Ali?
He's the greatest.
Love?
I think of every good thing that ever happened to me.
Princess Di?
This is like a Rorschach test,
yeah.
Isn't it? Princess Di. Tortured.
David Letterman?
Funny.
Sex?
Controversy.
There's a long pause on that. Nuns?
Nuns. Special.
Your mother?
Specialer.
Your father?
Specialer. No, my father, I would say resilient.
Okay. Marriage?
Sacred.
Do you worry about getting old?
I just hope that I can still, like, run 8 miles and...
Let me tell you something you won't be able to.
Well, all right. Well, I'll run 3.
Do you want children?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
A big family?
Not a big family. 2 or 3.
Will you have them?
Yes, I will.
What's it going to take apart from a bloke?
I think that's it. That's the missing ingredient, which actually it's not a missing ingredient. It's going to happen.
You're announcing something to me today, eh?
No, I'm not.
But you're not pregnant?
No.
Let me tell you something you will. How many rooms?
I don't even know. I don't even know how many rooms I have. So, anyway, here's my swimming pool.
You use it?
Very rarely. I don't have any free time to go swimming.
Are you a swimmer or a runner?
Actually, I have a swimming pool in Florida that I use. Bigger. It's better.
But do you swim or only run?
I do everything. Well, I have 2 other houses, and I'm hardly ever here. So, you want to buy it?
How much? How much would you sell it to a poor Australian for?
But I heard that you were really rich.
Is that what you heard?
Let's get unconscious, honey. Let's get unconscious.
A palm branch.
Right.
This is my little gardenia bush. Here's gardenia. It's my favorite flower.
Words are useless.
So here's one of my rose gardens. Okay.
Okay. One of your rose gardens.
Yes.
Now, come on, be honest. I mean, 7 or 8 million, that would be a steal at $7 or $8 million, would it?
I think it would be a bargain.
Do you get time to smell the roses or not?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're not making films and when you're not
I
doing
sit out
things?
here on this porch and I read. I read all the time. I watch movies and I read.
I get the feeling that we're almost out of time, and yet Madonna seems happy enough to take some photos in front of the multi-million-dollar painting that's come from the palace at Versailles. She offers to sell me the house at a bargain price. But she never promised me a rose garden or anything else.
Honey.